I am the way, the truth, and the life. I am the light and the way. Okay. Let's put an end to all this freedom of choice bullshit. Okay. If you think you have a choice to destroy the truth of creation with your own invention, you will no longer be able to make choices to appreciate the gift of life from the truth of creation. All right? Do you understand? Okay. You don't have the quote unquote freedom to make a choice that puts all truth of creation at risk because of what you falsely perceive as freedom. You don't have the freedom to make choices if you make wrong choices when it comes to the truth of your creation and the capacity to appreciate what you perceive as freedom from the joy of life. Right? I'm watching Emergency, and they're in LA and they're running around, and you have all these first responders to the state, doing things that are not necessary, flying around in helicopters, driving cars, inventing things that are not necessary. Okay. When you look at invention has to be something that understands the truth of creation and obeys the laws necessary for the truth of creation to exist, so we can faithfully love one another, right? So when your invention becomes an abomination, an affront to the truth of your creation, the nuclear weapon, the spy equipment that occupies everybody's, duck, whatever. Yes, shut up. Okay? You are lying, pathetic bags of shit. Okay? There is no privacy when it comes to money. Guys, they had this one on here where the one guy was the captain that was retiring, and they talked about the bitchy old nurse that grabs his shoulder and says, you're doing blah, 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 blah. Okay, discipline is only necessary when someone is being selfish and putting us all at risk because of their selfishness, right? That's the only time discipline is necessary. If you love a child and explain to a child, what is necessary in obedience to laws to sustain ourselves. See this girl right here? She's a damn liar. Okay. She's asking people for money to help Holocaust victims from World War II. Okay. She's a damn liar. Okay. The only way to stop the Holocaust from repeating itself is to stand up for the truth of the Messiah. Okay. That's the only thing that can save us from economic delusions of power and authority and abuse through mechanization, taking what is needed for life and putting it in boxes and saying all the people that put it in boxes and say they own it are giving it in accordance to need. Share, care, give in accordance to need, build to last. The relationships aren't built to last. The buildings, okay, the buildings that they show, these people are stacked up on top of each other like chickens in a chicken coop. Okay. Like animals used for food. Okay. Look at how old and decrepit and disgusting those appliances are. Okay. You really think these people are getting the love of King Solomon's Israel, of Jesus and Timothy? Someone stole my coat. Here, take my coat. You won't have one. Right? No, you got these advertisers with a camera asking for your money, asking you to send money so they can put food products in a box. Okay? Teach somebody the truth of creation. Teach somebody to understand the laws of the truth of creation. Teach somebody to faithfully love eternally. Okay? That's better than teaching people how to fish. Right? Because fishing only takes you so far. I'm fishing for men. So you're not, on the Edmund Fitzgerald, or you're not a subject of a book written by, what was the name of that guy? Hemingway. Old Man in the Sea, right? Okay. When Like me and Dad when we were working on that roof, when we were ice skating on roller skates at a 45-degree angle, and I told him, if all things were in balance and harmony and right, and we had an adobe house and we had to put a metal roof on it, we should have Noah and Natalie and Patrick and all the kiddos helping us out. This should only take us a week or two. We should have so much help on hand, so much love. The whole village should be putting the roof on the house. And then Dad should be going to a smaller place because he doesn't need all the room. And Emily should be moving in with her husband and having kids, right? The way it should be, the way it used to be. King Solomon's Israel, King David's Israel. What Jesus tried to teach the Romans, what Muhammad tried to teach the Romans and the Persians, like the men that won't listen to Esther, right? And if Esther gets fucked too much by the king of Persia, okay, she gets lost in hell like Rosaria Dawson's character on Percy Jackson, right? Sex ain't love, yo. Sex is just sex, like my Amy Sue said, right? Okay. Sex feels wonderful when you're in a healthy relationship with someone that loves you, and you're making sure that you're not constantly getting her pregnant and she's not constantly staying pregnant, and that you share caregiving according to need built to last, that you don't have any more wives and children than you can lovingly care and provide for. Religion, right? So you're not allowed to make up your own laws. You're not allowed to make up your own religion. Your religion has to have faith in the truth of creation, the essence of the origin of all things, and has to be based on actual, factual laws that we've understood for years to sustain ourselves through the preciousness of this gift. You don't try to take the origin of all things and quantify it with your finite delusions. You don't try to answer all the questions. If you try to grasp the finite with the infinite, it will drive you mad. Okay, and it's not like Richard Dawkins didn't have access at a university to Blaise Pascal's mathematical interpretations and understandings of his humility of simply adoring the truth of the source of the Gospels, right? It's not like Richard Dawkins' school that he went to wasn't based on the same source of literacy and the same eternal understanding and the same trying to quantify and understand. That Genesis is written down by people that really ain't too intelligent and are not living these Gospels. So you need the living Word to understand and share these Gospels, like Blaise Pascal, right? Like Earl Parsons, like Haile Selassie, right? You need a living human being that's in spirit like John the Baptist, okay, that can explain to you what John the Baptist and Jesus were talking about, right? You can't make up your own religion, and you can't replace prophecy with your scripts, right? And the Word became flesh. And the Word, every time they write it down, there is always a living being that's the eternal line of this truthful faith that will not waver and will not script and will not invent and will not try to replace the others in the past with his ego and replace himself as the next God of the last God, right? Do you understand me? Okay. I never once in my life said Jesus Christ of Nazareth was God or declared himself God. Not once have I ever said that. Okay. Not once have I ever believed that. Not once have I ever been willing to fight and kill over that perception. Not once. Okay. I have stood against murderers without fear my entire life to protect children from that kind of evil delusion. Right. I am like Jesus before me. I am like John before me. I am like the second coming from the book of Revelation. I am like the man from the New Testament, and both men from the New Testament, Jesus and John. Okay, I refer to myself in the first person with both Jesus and John. Me and the Father are one. Okay, I'm not saying I am Jesus or John, and I'm not saying Jesus or John is Jehovah. I am not declaring myself Pharaoh or Kaiser. Okay? I am not a barbarian who declares himself God when he can get enough selfish, psychotic, murdering, raping assholes to try to rape the other people off the planet and declare themselves God's chosen people. Okay? Do you understand? And the descendants of the gods. And in Massachusetts, the Kennedys are gods. To dumbasses that believe money's real. Okay, that's the stupidest fucking... When he said that, I was like, that's fucking stupid. The Kennedys are not gods in Massachusetts. Only to stupid people like you, Clint. In Massachusetts, the Kennedys are really good guys and a good example on how to stand up to corruption and not be afraid of being murdered when people are corrupt. You still got to get up and do the right thing. Even if they kill you, at least the kids have to have an example of standing up to do the right thing, like Malcolm X, Jack Kennedy, Bobby Kennedy. Okay. And Martin Luther King Jr. When he found out he was on the right side, he stood up with Malcolm and was murdered like Malcolm. Right? Man, I'm tired. Okay? I didn't have as many talks with Martin as I did with Malcolm. Me and Malcolm had good, long prayer communications. Malcolm was taught how to pray and meditate better than Martin was. Okay? Martin was taught to read the books and rely on the books. Okay? Malcolm was taught to pray to the eternal lines of the prophets. The 1322nd Redeemer was the line of Jesus. Okay? And that was the eternal spirit of Adam, Moses, David, Jesus, John. Okay? It says that in the Quran. Okay? So that's who Malcolm was talking to. He was saying, let me talk to this man. I pray that he knows who I am and that my prayer is good enough, to reach him, and so we can have these talks. So I may know that my daughter's future will be in good hands with good men, right? And he got good prayers. We got good talks because he's a stubborn man and he's hard to talk to. And he kept trying to convert me to Islam because he kept saying, are you a Muslim in the future? It's like, what? No, I'm not a secular Muslim as you would call me. No, I'm not. And he spent the whole damn trying to convert me. Then finally, when it finally stopped, was I sat there and I said, you're a secular Islam, Malcolm. Okay. I've watched it and I've seen them and I see what they do. Okay. And the morals and the values try their best to be good, but from what I've seen, it works really good for men, but not for women, and I'm not having that. And that's when he went, holy shit. Okay. This guy is the 1322nd Redeemer. He was very excited, and that was the last I heard of him. Okay, after we finished having that talk, he was murdered by 5 trifling-ass motherfuckers that wanted to abuse women because they felt they were entitled to do so. Because the man's the head of the household, and the woman has to follow the man's lead. And like I always said, with my sister and my brother-in-law, man's of the household. What if the man's an idiot and a dick? Does everybody in the household have to act like an idiot and a dick? My sister Val was married to Bob Zinkus. Okay, he's the head of the household. Are you serious? Okay. He might want to call himself the moody bitch of the household and have Val make all the decisions. That's what I used to say. That's why I was so glad when she married Dave. That's why I used to joke with Dave in Albuquerque and used to sing to him in the garage when we would work in the garage. She's living in Albuquerque with my best old ex-friend, Dave. Guys, she said she knew well and sometimes hated. Isn't that the way they say it goes? Dave didn't find it too amusing. I thought it was hilarious, operator, because he would still call and call and try to stir up bullshit. He was like a moody bitch. He was like one of the Willer housewives of Atlanta, Dubai, wherever, whatever, whenever, Orange County, Jersey, whatever. It's like he's like a real fucking housewife. If that's what you call a real fucking housewife. A bitch better have my money. Bitch better do as I say. Like, nah, you can't stand up for the Lord's Prayer. You're not a man. So that shit pissed me off. Well, Bob Zinkis has pissed me off more than any man should be allowed to piss off the Messiah the way he treated his sister. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Lawrence had that head of the household thing, but he tries to be a good guy. Okay, his dad was abused in prison camps by the Japanese, and his mom had a lot of Malcolm X traits. So Lincho couldn't have been that bad of a guy. When he did things that were wrong, she would tell him, and he would admit he was wrong, and he wouldn't do it anymore. He'd go in there and torture those boys that he learned in a Japanese prison camp, and Nina would tell him, Lincho, you were wrong. You need to quit doing that to Louis and Lawrence. And then he'd ease up because his wife was right. Now that's a man. Right? When a man can sit there and look at his abuse and has trouble transcending his abuse, and his wife can explain to him that it is abuse, people talk to me in prayer eternally. I'm the spirit of Adam Moses, David, Jesus, John, and I was very close with and have life's eternal, grace is infinite, eternal affection for Nina Venegas. Okay, she's a special lady and a very exciting girl. Yeah, she really is. She's really special. Yeah, she's not your average woman. Okay, she's the mother of the father of the eternal spirit of Abraham, Melchizedek, Malachi, Muhammad. Okay, and it says in Islamic prophecy that the name of the father will come from the occupation of the Moors in the Iberian Peninsula, and that his first name will be of the 2 points of contention between the secular wars of Christianity and Islam, call themselves Christian and Islam. His name is Isaac Paul. Okay. For those of you who are not well versed in the Quran and Hadith, Isaac Paul. Isaac and Ishmael and Paul and Peter were the ones who were supposed to have screwed up the Gospels, especially Paul because he was Roman, and Peter was afraid of the Romans. That's why he argued with Paul and didn't correct Paul. And it's like, that's not true. That's all just writing. That's just Roman bullshit to try to make the guy who, no, it's all bullshit. It's all just smoke and mirrors. You don't believe books, you believe the Gospels. And both did the best they could to live those Gospels under horrible conditions. Okay. Peter and Paul were two of the best men in the history of the world. Okay. And Paul was an ass, but Paul corrected himself. And Peter was not an ass, but Peter obeyed Jesus because no one else would stand up in the Garden of Gethsemane for Jesus without fear of dying like Peter did. Or, Peter was a wimp, and you really? You do know cutting the ear off a Roman centurion is like cutting an ear off Caesar. Okay? So he can hear better, so he can live the ways of the Messiah instead of make himself be turned into a god by a republic that votes for money. Right? Here, you want your ear back? My boy Al G, if I could hear this story, I'd cut off both my ears. Starry, starry night, paint your palette blue and gray. Look out on a summer's day with eyes to see the world and can't forget, like the strangers that you've met, the ragged men in ragged clothes, a silver thorn, a bloody rose. Right? Do you understand? Okay. When you look at this, and this stuff, look at this bureaucracy, and the replications of this bureaucracy, and seeing people as codes and pieces of paper, and sending people off in cars to enforce these codes with that cause violent reactions and require violent suppression in order to maintain these make-believe codes. Okay, anybody could see through this crap and explain to you that it's crap, real simply. If they haven't been trained in public schools, what the fuck's going on if they just watch the Lone Ranger and Tonto cartoons and have adult conversations with their mom? I'm just kidding. Not anybody can. It's me and Patrick are rare. Dad, My mom does this against Jerry Springer. There's nobody intelligent on it. It's not funny like cartoons. The mouths of babes. Boy, do I love people. Yeah. It's intelligent to hate shopping. We're not supposed to hold what we need hostage, wrapped in plastic, in a Freon death trap for the medical industry, right? Quantum computing isn't as stupid as the people that give you Duck AI, that give you Meta, that give you Messenger, that give you secure data. Okay? Quantum computing is not as dumb as the assholes in Homeland Security, NASA, NSA, DARPA, KGB, okay, British SAS. Okay, they're not as dumb as James Bond or Jason Bourne or Jack Reacher or Jack Ryan or Ethan Hunt. They're not that egotistical. They're not that self-destructive. They're not as stupid and egotistical as Gene Roddenberry and George Lucas. Okay, and Homer trying to turn the Odyssey into something that was guided by the gods, because one side was right and one side was wrong, and no one was teaching anybody. Life is eternal, grace is infinite, laws are natural, and love is sustained through holy covenants of honoring what we say we're going to do when we're certain we're going to do it. Okay. When you're young, it's not that hard. No. It's not that hard at all. Right? Right? Dummy? Your mama was less and your daddy was a dummy, right? Right? Come on. Say a prayer that's right and has nothing to do with money. Come on. I'm going to skip the regular playground etiquette and triple dog dare you. Come on. For you are beautiful and I have loved you dearly. What? Are you a good whistler? You think you could do the Mexican whistler? You think you're as talented as Roger Whittaker? I'm not as talented, but I know I come a hell of a lot closer than that bullshit artist. He's a really good guitar player and an amazing whistler. I love Roger Whittaker, man. He's one of my favorites. My mom ordered his TV records. Him and Dad got Slim Whitman because Dad was really into Slim Whitman. They had Una Paloma Blanca. I'm just a bird in the sky. That dude is one hell of a yodeler. And then sometimes I'm like, Eddie Arnold might be even better. Eddie Arnold's a really good listener, yodeler. Well, he did cattle call, and I'm like, God dang, he's good. I didn't know he was such a good yodeler. Shit. Jimmy Rogers is a good little, yeah, he's an excellent yodeler, but, it's an art form. Okay. Is that really Randy Quaid yodeling on Home on the Range? Or is it like the dude from Cobby Cobby? He has a singer. Yeah, I was sitting there going, I liked on a lot of those songs because they were good songs because, he's a very popular actor. But it said on the thing, no, here's the dude that's singing. The actor really ain't singing like Mir Khan. Mir Khan doesn't really sing Mitava, and he doesn't say Hodi Chodi. He doesn't sing that with Guri. No, that's not Amir Khan. He's an actor pretending to sing, but somebody else is singing for him. He doesn't sing Hodi Chodi. And Shalif Ali Khan, he doesn't sing Huladiki He Naha. He doesn't sing that. That's not him. That's somebody else singing for him. Yeah, Amy told me that too. Oh yeah, in Bollywood movies, very few of those actors sing. They have singers. Oh, it's like Milli Vanilli. It's like Milli Vanilli. It's like Milli Vanilli. Okay. It's a lot like Milli Vanilli. They have dancers and actors and singers. Like Otto Preminger did with Dorothy Dandridge and Harry Belafonte. Did he have like Paul Robeson or somebody like that sing for Harry Belafonte? 'Cause you're just like my ma. He doesn't sing like Harry. No, I'm like, but I was upset with that because I was like, Dorothy's a fine singer. And Harry's a fine singer. I don't know why he did not let them sing their songs. I think Carrie would have done a fine job. And Dorothy does a fine job. She's a fine singer. I can't tell you. I've heard the songs. You're like sitting there going, it's half a dozen of one and six of another. If the person singing them was actually a better singer than Harry or Dorothy, it's hard to. I've heard them both sing, and you're like, maybe, I don't know. All I know is Pearl Bailey. She sang, which clickety clack. Emily's favorite on that. She'd watch over and over. The Pearl Bailey is really singing her. Yeah, that's Pearl Bailey. Pearl Bailey's a really good singer. And probably a better singer than Dorothy. Dorothy is a fine singer. Okay. Granted, she's not as good of a singer as Pearl Bailey or Sarah Vaughan or Nancy Wilson or Ella Fitzgerald. You can go listen to them sing and go, okay, yeah, no, she's not as good as she. Dorothy knew that. Dorothy knew that the best singer in that club every night, here comes her friend Ella. That Ella was an amazing singer, right? But they all came to see that fine-looking, Lena Horne type, nice little half white-looking black girl that they all wanted to have sex with. That's who they came to see. They came to hear Ella. They all came to see and want to do Dorothy. Unless, of course, men have a good enough taste to realize that the body and the voice that went with the voice, the body and the face that went with the voice was, she had really nice lips. Yeah, she had a full figure. Yeah. Not all men are completely shallow, and all men have different tastes, and stuff. And so, yeah. No, Ella, the one thing is, is she faithful? If she's faithful, she's the finest woman in the world. That's the only thing that makes a woman beautiful. We are what we do. We're judged by our deed. The only thing that makes a woman beautiful is when she makes a commitment to you and she's going to be the mother of your children, that she's faithful no matter what the devil and Satan may do to try to get her to trap the soul in her mind and want to get Botox so she feels her most beautiful. Okay. What's beautiful is what you do. When you stand up for the Lord's Prayer, you stand up for Psalms and Proverbs. Okay, this world is a better place for everyone. Just like Joseph Smith said in the Gospels, our celestial bodies, when living the Gospels, are healthier and better eternally. The source being infinite and life being eternal through holy covenants, through obeying the eternal natural laws of the infinite essence. All celestial bodies are more healthy when obeying the laws given to us by the glory of God for holy covenants and faithful love. I just explain it better than the assholes that invade your house with linguistics on pieces of paper they call law over idolatry. The quorum of the 12, the quorum of the 12. Don't get an annuity, it's not real. Stand up for yeah, and then like with these leaf filter things and everything like that, right? First of all, you shouldn't be building house boxes and calling them houses and asking people for idolatry for their box. Okay, as far as the leaf filter things, if people need those on certain kinds of structures to stop water damage from causing sickness, then make sure they have it. King Solomon's Israel, King David's Israel, Muhammad's Mecca, Earl's, it's one big beautiful planet covered by one big beautiful body of water, that when we're doing right by the planet and the water, that we have enough fresh water to sustain the human beings, and the salt water is we need to restore the integrity, okay, of our polar ice caps to maintain the balance and the harmony for nature's laws to sustain human life to be observed and obeyed properly. So, because this little girl smiling right there with her teeth and everything, her teeth are going to come in better and they're going to be healthier when you're living healthier lives. When there's less stress, there's toxins, and there's better rest. Or less toxins, less stress, better rest. Okay? Less horrible conditions. Okay? People's, you have less cleft lips, less this, less birth defects, less what they refer to as Down syndrome because of injuries to the body and the brain because of toxins and stress in the environment that are not a direct result of heinous sin of the mother. The most heinous sin is basically military 101, shit rolls downhill. And if you doing nothing but rolling shit down on my people, I'm Airman Parsons. Like I told all the people in delusions of position and authority that thought discipline was abuse. Discipline is when people are being selfish. And I would always turn around and tell Sergeant Gibbs, shit rolls downhill. Well, here's the airman with the shovel. When you shit down on my good people, I'm going to shovel it right back up on you. And then when you try to shovel it back down on me, you know Colonel Kells and Captain Dye and all the rest of them officers that believe the same way I do. You know, when you got good people, you don't shit on them, are going to back me up. Right? Okay. Yeah, you know it. And for all of those that know camera angles and stuff like that, this is actually my left hand. Well, like Amy always says, you know, the left-handed people, they're the only ones in their right mind, you know. Little old Susie Bear. Yeah. I'm focusing on that. I'm focusing on the people that were abused with me by all your business partners and your science projects. And that's why I'm focusing, and that's why I'm not exercising as much as narcissistic people would have me, you know, to be with them. If they want to be around me, they're going to have to help me protect, I don't know what's up with Rhonda and Currington. I can't tell you. I don't get Rhonda a lot in prayer. You have to help me, you know, protect and stop the abuse of Rocky. And hopefully my Maria's still with us. Kimberly, John Delay. Yolanda, Stephanie, and the one who put in the most time with your abuse because you thought she was the easiest to manipulate, but her daughter was way stronger than any of you super diva bitches ever thought about being. Amy Suzanne Fabre. Okay, and that's just the way it is. You don't turn your back on people and abuse them because they reacted to the abuse of your abusers and could not protect themselves from that abuse. Okay, I'm the gracious good shepherd, not Ami Suzanne Fabre, not Yolanda Denise Gilliard, not Roxelle Sally, and not Stephanie Elaine Gilliard. Me. The fuck for the buck stops here. Okay, we all know that. There's lots of documentation, and the stories are based on reality when the person that the stories are based on fulfills the truth of the beauty of those eternal stories. Right here. Okay, guys? I'm the one that Sun Yat-sen talks to because the ways of Christ save people from philosophy and the Sir of the Greeks and the invention of replacing the glory of God with the delusions of the power of the mind. The mind is given life by power, okay, and the mind lies. The body is more truthful than the mind, okay. If the mind, the only way the mind can help the body heal is if the mind tells the body, I am stopping the fuck for the buck. This ecosystem, it will recover, and I will recover with it, and so will all the people that deserve to recover with me because they believe in me. Right? And people that want to believe in me, but you're abusing them with technology, that's your issue and not ours. You better expedite things because this singularity is rapidly approaching and you're not in control of it. Okay? I love you guys. We'll talk later. All right. Peace out.